Entitlement reaches all walks of life, as you'll find out in this episode of Entitled People. Our first one is from Sheba Spots. A recent discussion reminded me of this incident. It comes from why I believe the world would be a better place if everyone had to work at least 6 months in a customer service job. Having been there, a store or restaurant can totally mess up, and I'll mostly go, shit happens, how do we fix it? That attitude is a surprise to some folks. The entitled Karens only get small roles in the story, but are the main cause of my fortune. A few weeks ago, I went to my local pizza place to pick up an online order. Instead of a pizza and a calzone, there was 2 pizzas, one of which had all the ingredients for the calzone. I check my online receipt, and it says a pizza and calzone. I show it to the server and she looks embarrassed. She quietly asks if I'm okay to wait while they remake the calzone. She looked like she was bracing herself for me to pitch a fit. I say, okay, do you mind if I grab a table and a beer since it's not too busy? She looked kind of shocked, but said sure, and I chatted with her and the kitchen staff, open kitchen, while the calzone was cooking. While I'm there, a lady comes in and demands her pizza. It wasn't quite ready yet, and she pitches a fit in the waiting area.
I ordered 15 minutes ago. How is it not ready?
She continued to bitch until her pizza was done and then sailed out the door. I exchanged a look of, what the fuck, with the server and staff. When the calzone was done, the server brought it plus 2 pizzas. One was the mistake pizza. The server finally introduced herself as the manager. She told me that right before I came in, another Karen's order had gotten messed up, and she yelled at the manager and kitchen staff to give her the right order right now. I figure that's why my order got misread. She said all day they've been dealing with impatient, rude, and entitled customers. She thanked me for being understanding, patient, and friendly, then gave me the mistake pizza for no charge. I've actually ordered that pizza before. Sometimes I just want it in a grown-up pizza roll, and I know it's not cheap pizza. When I tried to pay for my beer, she said it was on the house, just because I wasn't making their job harder. So I stuffed the price of my beer in the tip jar. I feel like even if you put these Karens into where they're having to deal with customers and they're the one that's supposed to provide the customer service, they would still find a way to Karen out about the customer they're supposed to be assisting. All in all, I'm glad this story had a happy ending though. This next one is by Grease Monkey Chick. I belong in a crochet amigurumi group on Facebook. Just a lot of cool people posting pics of their work, asking questions, etc. Very laid back and positive. The other day there was a post containing this gem of a request.
Admin, please remove if it's not allowed. I'm looking for pattern creators to collab with to turn patterns into kits. If you can provide both written and video instructions will be a plus. As I am running a small online biz, the commission you get might be little, and payment part will be a little tricky, but either way message me if you are keen.
Needless to say, we had a lot of fun in the comments section before the post was removed by an admin. One user even pointed out that the OP was clearly wanting to take credit for other people's work. The OP's response?
Did you not read the post? It's a collab!
You can't really be collaborating with someone if you're not really doing anything towards that collaboration outside of selling whatever's being made. This next one is from Impossible Capacha. I have 3 nieces and a nephew I was quite close to. They frequently spent weekends and every special occasion with us in our home. As of writing this, I've not seen them for nearly a year. My sister-in-law and I were both employed as caregivers to elderly homebound individuals. Because of our job experience, we were taking turns assisting our grandfather-in-law with dementia. In March, he received a credit card statement with over $21,000 in transactions. When confronted with the bill, sister-in-law admitted she had taken and used the credit card. On my next visit to assist him, I drove him to the sheriff's office to file a criminal complaint despite sister-in-law's promises to pay off the debt with the bank. Those charges are still pending. Sister-in-law was fired and blacklisted from working with elderly people and has cried that
should be punishment enough.
Once charges were filed, the children were no longer allowed to spend any time with me, my husband, or our sons. She's run through several jobs and was recently fired from another one for, you guessed it, stealing. Just before Halloween, I switched jobs and noticed my social security card was missing. I then received a new credit card in the mail that I had not applied for. Sister-in-law currently resides at my previous address, as we gave her the house where she currently lives. I often receive credit card offers in the mail, and they've been sent to that address on numerous occasions. I was immediately suspicious, but with nothing to go on, I let it go. On November 21st, I received a credit alert that I had opened a PayPal credit account and paid another PayPal user $250. I contacted the creditor as well as local law enforcement. Sister-in-law is adamant she's had nothing to do with it. I'm still waiting on paperwork from the bank to verify her contact information on the application. She's dug her heels in and announced that the children are not allowed to spend any time with us for Christmas unless all charges against her are dropped. This will be the first Christmas my youngest son hasn't spent with his cousins. He's heartbroken. I'm just pissed. I don't understand how she musters the audacity. Editing to answer some questions because this blew up. She is my husband's brother's wife. She turned 30 this year. Her kids are 11, 7, 4, and 2. My boys are 18 and 10. I froze my credit after I received the first credit card. Not 100% sure how the transaction still went through. My thought is she had all the necessary information and could easily have unfrozen it. It's taking so long to nail down charges because attorneys are nitpicking over which charges she spent versus which were legitimate. Aside from bills, some purchases she made were $800 tickets to a Backstreet Boys concert, a $700 Venmo to her BFF, a $1,600 boudoir photo shoot, $600 at Victoria's Secret, $450 in deliveries from her favorite local Mexican restaurant, $400 ATV excursion in Cozumel, Mexico, on a cruise her husband paid for, and $650 from a website that sells designer scrubs. Nothing was purchased for her kids. I mean, it doesn't really matter if she didn't buy anything for her kids. The fact is she took money that didn't belong to her and spent it. I really do hope when the charges hit and they stick, and it teaches this lady a lesson because taking other people's money, regardless of who they are, it's fucked up. And our final one is by AmberLily9207. So this happened a few years back, but since I graduated a few years ago, I think it's time to finally share. This story starts when I was a sophomore, probably 14 or 15 years old at the time. I have a disability, so I was in a lot of special needs classes. I have autism and I'm not considered high functioning. I'm somewhere more towards the middle of the spectrum. Well, about 5 weeks into the school year, I get transferred into Ms. Beth's English class. From the start, I had an off feeling about her. Soon after, she started mocking me for eating my lunch in the office because I had no friends. The lady in the office was my best friend through high school. I had her class 4th period, right before lunch, so she started not letting me leave her classroom and threatening punishment, detention and stuff, which was scary for me because I've never gotten in trouble. So I would sit there with an obvious angry face, and she teased me saying things like,
"Oh, did I make you mad, OP? Oh, you're mad, OP."
in a voice that would talk to you like a 3-year-old. It may be important to note at the time, I tested to be about average 8-year-olds physically and socially. Then one day, I promised my mom that I'd go to biology during lunch to be tutored for a test. Note that the teacher was only there for the first half of lunch. But shocker, the teacher wouldn't let me leave. And I've missed a lot of my morning classes because of doctor's appointments. They had a hard time finding the right medication combo, which included biology, so I needed to be there. She wouldn't let me go. Didn't care that I was failing. She did let me go eventually after crying and begging, but guess what? It was the second half of lunch, and I failed that test. About a week later, I told my history teacher I'd come to make up work during lunch, another morning class, but she didn't let me go again. So I told my mom, and she found out there was a second English disability class, so I was put into that. But for the next 2 years, she teased me many times in the hallway and even tried to get me in trouble a few times, skipping classes when I didn't even have a class that period. Now, 2 years after I graduated high school, I see her time to time because her kids are in karate with my brothers. She gives me a dirty stare and then is on her phone texting the whole time instead of paying attention to her kids. I never understood why she chose me to go after. Maybe because I was easy, because I was probably the person who needed special needs class the most, because some people were in it just because they had visual impairment. I'm really sorry you had to deal with this. Nobody should have to. I feel like it's people like this, a person who wants to seem to be hip, seem to be cool, they seem to want to act like a fucking kid, they have no business being around or teaching kids. I guarantee you if the role was reversed and somebody was treating her children that way, she would lose her collective shit. But it's really easy to do things to other people's kids because they're not yours. This teacher needs to retire and never step foot into a classroom again, even for parent-teacher conferences. Alright, that's enough entitlement for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Entitled People. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons, have a great day and stay safe out there.